I was told time and time again that it would be completely stupid for a girl like me to compete with the big players in the world of stationery. The stationery world is a monopoly. It's basically run by a big few players, and although I know I can't keep up with them in many ways, the one thing I do have is that I am a user of the product. Most people who own stationery companies are big billionaires who have never used the products themselves, whereas I can listen to my customers. I didn't listen to the people who told me no, and last year I brought out my first ever pack of 24 brush pens. They're water-based so they don't bleed through, and they went so viral online. I was absolutely blown away. I was so grateful. It honestly made my whole entire life. I couldn't believe it. But when the reviews started trickling in, I noticed a pattern. There were so many amazing reviews, so many people who loved the pens. But there were also quite a few not amazing reviews. And I'm a perfectionist, and I also want happy customers, so I listened. And I noticed that a lot of people were saying that they were finding the pens a little bit hard to use as a beginner. And I realized that while these pens were dreamy if you know how to use them, they weren't the most user-friendly pens in the world. So I set out to try and work on some pens that were just as creamy, just as satisfying to use. But rather than being like a paintbrush that takes a lot of technique and is a little bit more difficult to use, I wanted them to feel more like an upgrade on a classic felt tip pen. And so I ended up creating my 12 jewel brush pens. One end is a really smooth, creamy, pigmented felt tip, shaped like a brush but a little bit more of a firm nib, and the other side is a fine liner, perfect for journaling. I use these pens in my journals all the time. They may not create the same seamless blend that the 24 brush pens do, but in terms of user friendliness, they are so much more easy and accessible, and I hope you love them.